The Galactic hegemony's war fleets surged into the Sol system, confident in their overwhelming firepower. For thousands of years, no species had ever resisted them. No empire had ever stood against their might. They believed humanity would be no different. They were wrong. The first to arrive was Grand Admiral Axel Voren, commander of the hegemonic Purge fleets, an armada of over 10,000 capital ships bristling with plasma lances, grav cannons, and planet-buster warheads. His orders were simple: skewer Sol from existence. As his fleet dropped from hyperspace beyond Neptune, Voren sneered at the tiny, pathetic Terran outposts scattered across the gas giants. Humanity had expanded beyond Earth, but it was laughable. Mere research stations, asteroid miners, and orbital habitats. Not a true interstellar power. His fleet advanced. Hours passed. Nothing happened. No resistance. No transmissions. Nothing. And then, the Neptune relays went dark. One by one, the long-range sensor arrays vanished from the grid. No explosions, no alarms, just sudden, eerie silence. Voren's mandibles clicked in irritation. "Activate full system scans," he barked. The moment they did, all hell broke loose. A coded Terran transmission hijacked their comm channels. A single phrase, spoken in crisp, accented Standard Galactic, echoed through every ship's bridge. "Welcome to Sol. Now burn." The first explosions came from within the fleet itself. Hidden saboteurs, human infiltrators disguised as slave engineers, had planted fusion charges inside critical power conduits. Warships detonated from the inside out. Before the hegemony could recover, Neptune's shadow moved. Or rather, what was hidden within it moved. Dozens of stealth cruisers emerged from black space, railguns fitting tungsten rounds at near-light speed. Shields collapsed instantly, alien hulls crumpled like paper, and the vacuum of space was filled with shredded metal and drifting bodies. Then came the Black Arrows, a Terran-covered assault group. Their dropships latched onto the largest hegemony battleships, cutting through hulls with molecular torches. What followed was butchery. Hegemony warriors, taller, stronger, more numerous, should have easily slaughtered the humans. But they weren't fighting humans. They were fighting Terrans. Void-hardened, cybernetically enhanced, blood-soaked Terran Marines. The corridors of the hegemony's flagships became slaughterhouses. Humans fought with ruthless precision, their advanced combat implants letting them react in milliseconds. Their weapons, optimized for maximum brutality, punched through alien armor with ease. Hegemony officers, arrogant in their belief of human inferiority, watched in horror as their warriors were torn apart by a species that refused to die. And then, as the first hegemony dreadnought fell into Neptune's gravity well, its final screams lost in the void, Voren realized the terrible truth. This wasn't an invasion. It was an execution. Humanity wasn't afraid. They had been waiting. The wreckage of the first hegemony fleet drifted beyond Neptune, shattered and lifeless. But this was only the beginning. Despite the devastating ambush, the hegemony still had numbers on their side. Grand Strategist Varzulak, a veteran of countless planetary exterminations, commanded the Second Purge Fleet, 20,000 warships, reinforced by elite shock troops bred for one purpose: to break enemy worlds. He had received Grand Admiral Voren's last transmission before his fleet went dark. One phrase repeated before the line cut: they were waiting. Varzulak was no fool. He ordered his fleet to advance cautiously, using interference drones to jam human communications. No tricks, no sabotage, just sheer, overwhelming force. Their target was Jupiter. Humanity's largest colonies, shipyards, and military depots lay hidden within the gas giants' storm-racked moons: Ganymede, Callisto, Io, and Europa. Destroying them would cripple Earth's ability to fight. The hegemony's warships descended like gods of war, deploying atmospheric stabilizers to clear a path through the storms. And that's when Jupiter's shadow moved. At first, Varzulak thought it was a sensor glitch. Then he realized it was a fleet that should not exist. The Hell's Maw Armada, a human war fleet twice the size of any previously recorded. Stealth-hulled destroyers, eye-controlled battleships, planet-killer-class dreadnoughts. Every human ship bore the same insignia, displayed on massive digital banners across their hulls. Sols Waraithe. Then the stars went dark. Project Ragnarok had begun. Terran engineers had spent decades preparing for this moment. They had hollowed out entire asteroids, filled them with fusion warheads, and coated them in stealth materials. As the Hegemony fleet descended into Jupiter's orbit, those asteroids came alive. Fusion detonation charges ignited, launching them like torpedoes. They traveled at hypersonic speeds, guided by I-kill programs, impossible to track. Varzulak barely had time to scream before the first wave hit. 1,000 city-sized asteroids, moving at Mach 30, slammed into his fleet. Hegemony capital ships shattered like glass. Plasma cores ruptured, turning the void into a hellstorm of atomic fire. Within seconds, over 5,000 ships were annihilated. The survivors tried to regroup. And that's when the human fleet attacked. Terran warships emerged from the swirling storms, railguns firing at relativistic speeds. They didn't aim for shields. They aimed for joints, weak points, reactors. Every shot a kill shot. And then came the Leviathans, humanity's dreadnought-class war machines, massive, kilometers long, built for one purpose: planetary annihilation. They fired once. The shockwave ripped through space, a burst of concentrated kinetic energy that flattened what remained of the Hegemony's armada. Varzulak's last thoughts were of flame and metal. The Purge fleet was gone. The galaxy would remember this day as the Jupiter Massacre. And for the first time in millennia, the Hegemony knew fear. The wreckage of 2 Hegemony fleets drifted through the void, silent tombs for billions of alien soldiers. Neptune had been an execution. Jupiter had been a massacre. And yet, the Hegemony still came. The Third Purge Fleet, commanded by the Zorlak Dominion, did not arrive with brute force. Unlike their predecessors, they knew humanity was dangerous. They had seen the impossible, the Hegemony's greatest war fleets annihilated in hours. The Zorlak, 4-armed, reptilian warriors bred for conquest, had fought in thousands of campaigns, but never against anything like humanity. So they chose a different tactic: deception. A single Zorlak dreadnought broke formation as the fleet entered Sol's inner system, broadcasting a desperate plea. Terrans, we have been forced into this war by the Hegemony. We seek alliance. Grant us asylum, and we will betray our masters. A calculated risk. The Zorlak had once enslaved entire species through deception. If humanity accepted their help, the Dominion would strike from within. If refused, they still had a fleet of 15,000 warships ready to crush Earth. To their surprise, humanity answered. A message was broadcast across all channels from Luna Command, Earth's last line of defense before invasion. You seek asylum. Then prove your loyalty. Surrender your fleet. Disarm your weapons. Stand down. The Zorlak hesitated. They needed the ruse to be believable. Slowly, their fleet powered down. Their warships ceased fire. The trap was set. The attack on Luna begins. The moment Zorlak shuttles landed on Luna's surface, the betrayal was swift and brutal. Zorlak warriors, supposedly unarmed, unleashed hidden plasma blades and wrist-mounted cannons. Before the human guards could react, dozens were slaughtered in seconds. At the same time, the Zorlak fleet reactivated, launching a full-scale bombardment on Luna's orbital stations. Terran defenses scrambled to respond. Orbital railguns fired, AI kill drones launched, and missile silos ignited the sky with retaliatory fire. But the Zorlak had chosen their moment perfectly. The betrayal crippled Earth's defense grid, allowing the Hegemony's true forces, a hidden fourth wave, to storm into the system. Earth was now vulnerable. Operation Gravekeeper. But humanity was not defenseless. In Luna Command's underground bunkers, Terran High General Adrienne Falkenrath watched the battle unfold. She saw the orbital defense grid failing. She saw Earth's shields struggling to rise. She saw her people dying. She did not panic. She issued one command: activate Operation Gravekeeper. Across Luna, human engineers triggered detonations. Not explosives, something worse. Buried beneath Luna's surface were graviton destabilizers, weapons so dangerous they had never been used before. The moment they activated, the moon's gravity spiked and fluctuated wildly. The Zorlak troops on the ground suddenly felt their bones crack under the pressure. In orbit, their ships, caught in the artificial gravity waves, were ripped apart. The Zorlak screamed as Luna itself turned into a weapon. Within minutes, the Dominion's forces were erased. The consequences of betrayal. As the last Zorlak ship shattered in Luna's orbit, a final transmission was sent to the remaining hegemony forces still approaching Earth. You thought we would fall for your tricks. No, we were waiting. Again. The message was clear. There would be no negotiations, no treaties, no mercy. The battle for Earth was about to begin. And Saul's wrath had only just begun. The betrayal at Luna had failed. The Zorlak Dominion was eradicated, their warships reduced to drifting wreckage, their warriors crushed beneath the very moon they had sought to conquer. But their deception had bought the hegemony time. As the last Zorlak distress signals flickered out, the true invasion force arrived. The primary extermination fleet, a force greater than anything Saul had faced before. 50,000 warships, planetary siege platforms, dreadnought carriers, and bio-titan transports descended upon Earth. It was the largest fleet the galaxy had ever seen. And yet, in the face of annihilation, Earth did not kneel. The final line of defense. Across Earth, Terran defenses came online. Orbital stations, hidden beneath the cover of Earth's electromagnetic field, uncloaked, revealing hundreds of automated weapons platforms armed with railgun arrays and nuclear-tipped missiles. The Aegis Array, a planetary defense shield developed in secret, activated, enveloping Earth in an energy barrier designed to withstand orbital bombardment. On the ground, billions of soldiers, Terran Marines, cybernetically enhanced shock troopers, and drone legions mobilized. Every city, every continent, every battlefield had been prepared. Humanity had been waiting. Saul's wrath unleashed. The hegemony's invasion force opened fire. Planet crackers, superweapons designed to fracture worlds, launched from orbit. Plasma lances cut through the sky, seeking to burn Earth's surface to glass. But the moment their weapons discharged, they realized the truth. Humanity had hacked them. Through centuries of espionage, infiltration, and captured technology, Terran AI had embedded kill switches into hegemony weapon systems. The planet crackers, redirected back at the hegemony fleet. The plasma lances, overloaded, detonating their own ships. Before the hegemony could recover, Saul's wrath struck back. Luna's hidden railgun batteries, the largest ever constructed, fired at full capacity. Each shot, a tungsten slug the size of a skyscraper, moving at 20% the speed of light. They didn't just hit the hegemony fleet, they obliterated it. Dreadnoughts shattered like glass. Carriers were vaporized. Entire squadrons of enemy warships ceased to exist. Then, from the dark side of the moon, the Terran Black Fleet emerged. Stealth dreadnoughts, invisible to conventional sensors, decloaked within the heart of the hegemony formation. They didn't fire missiles. They detonated singularity warheads. Micro-black holes tore through the invaders, consuming ships, flesh, and steel alike. The hegemony's greatest fleet was collapsing. But they were not finished. The invasion begins. With their space superiority shattered, the hegemony had only one option left: a ground invasion. Massive bio-titan warforms descended through the burning sky, accompanied by millions of hegemony troops. Humanity had repelled them in orbit. But now, the true battle for Earth would be fought on the ground. And Saul's wrath was far from over. The skies above Earth burned. The hegemony's armada was broken, its warships reduced to smoldering wreckage drifting in orbit. The largest fleet in galactic history had been humbled, torn apart by Saul's wrath. But even in defeat, the hegemony refused to retreat. This was no longer a war of conquest. It was a war of survival. With space superiority lost, the hegemony deployed everything they had onto Earth's surface. Bio-Titan warforms, creatures engineered for planetary subjugation, descended in fiery streaks, each one the size of a city, their chitinous armor capable of withstanding nuclear strikes. Shock troopers, tens of millions strong, poured from landing craft, their weapons designed to wipe out entire populations. Cities fell under siege. The skies darkened with plasma fire. Earth itself trembled under the weight of the invasion. And yet, humanity did not break. Operation Scorched Earth. In the heart of New Alexandria, Earth's last strategic command center, High General Adrienne Falkenrath surveyed the battlefield. Every continent was under attack. The enemy came in waves, endless and relentless. But they had made a fatal mistake. They had brought the fight to humanity's home. With a nod, she issued the order. Initiate Operation Scorched Earth. The Terran counteroffensive began. Every hidden stronghold, every bunker, every underground fortress activated. Millions of human soldiers, enhanced with combat implants and exo-armor, emerged from hidden vaults. On the front lines, mechs the size of skyscrapers, armed with railgun batteries, thundered into battle. Across the Pacific, deep-sea bastions rose from the ocean, unleashing tsunami-class plasma artillery against hegemony forces swarming the coastlines. In orbit, autonomous AI warships, hidden in the debris fields of the battle above, reactivated, launching pinpoint orbital strikes on hegemony landing zones. The war was no longer about survival. It was about annihilation. The fall of the Bio-Titans. The hegemony's greatest weapons, the Bio-Titans, were designed to tear planets apart. Towering behemoths, impervious to most conventional weaponry, they rampaged across continents, reducing cities to rubble. But humanity had planned for them. From beneath the Earth, subterranean rail cannons, built in secret over decades, fired hyperdense tungsten rounds capable of piercing a planet's core. The first Bio-Titan, Heska the Devourer, collapsed as a single railgun round tore straight through its heart. The second, Sorka the Unbroken, was engulfed in a firestorm, as hidden fusion charges, buried under the surface for decades, detonated beneath its feet. One by one, the Titans fell. For the first time, the hegemony's ground forces knew despair, the last stand of the invaders. With their war beasts slain and their armies decimated, the hegemony's remaining forces dug in, preparing for a final stand. They had once come to exterminate humanity. Now, they were the ones fighting to survive. But Earth had no mercy left to give. The purge was coming, and humanity would burn their enemies from the face of the Earth. The Earth was a battlefield. The hegemony's final forces, battered and desperate, had entrenched themselves across continents. Once they had come as conquerors. Now they hid like rats in the ruins of humanity's cities, surrounded on all sides. But there would be no mercy. Tonight, Saul's wrath would be absolute. The purge begins. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the final phase of Operation Scorched Earth was unleashed. Above the planet, humanity's last doomsday weapons activated. For centuries, Earth's scientists had prepared for the possibility of extinction. In secret, they had built the Ferrum Mantle, a global network of orbital thermal lances, weapons that could turn the very atmosphere into fire. The order was given. The sky ignited. Massive tactical solar reflectors, hidden in deep orbit, converged their beams onto the planet below. Cities occupied by the hegemony became furnaces. The very air superheated, creating firestorms that consumed entire invasion strongholds. In the forests, hegemony soldiers fled in terror as the ground boiled beneath their feet. Their armor, built for space combat, was useless against the hellfire engulfing them. From the mountains, from the deserts, from the ruins of civilization, humanity's armies surged forward. Exo-soldiers, cybernetic shock troopers, mech legions, and swarms of autonomous war drones descended upon the enemy's last refuges. They did not come as liberators. They came as executioners. The last hegemony commander falls. Deep within the smoldering remains of what had once been the Terran capital, the last hegemony commander, Supreme War Master Vectal, made his final stand. The most feared warlord in the galaxy, who had led the slaughter of entire civilizations, now sat inside the ruins of a Terran skyscraper, his command center a burning husk. Around him, his elite guard, genetically enhanced monsters, were cut down one by one. Humanity had broken them. With nothing left, Vectal activated his personal transmitter, sending a final message back to the hegemony's core worlds. We have failed. Humanity is not prey. They are not weak. They are the fire that will consume us all. As he spoke, the doors to his command bunker were ripped apart. A single Terran soldier stepped through, her armor scorched, her weapons still smoking from battle. High General Adrienne Falkenrath. She looked down at the broken warlord, her expression unreadable. Vectal reached for his blade. She shot him once, between the eyes. The end of the war. Across Earth, the last remnants of the hegemony's army fell silent. Some tried to surrender. None were spared. The war was over. Humanity had won. And now, they would not stop. As the fires of the Night of Fire burned across Earth, the survivors turned their eyes to the stars. The hegemony had come to exterminate them. Now, humanity would burn their empire to ash. The real war was about to begin. The war for Earth was over. The hegemony's forces had been annihilated, their strongest warriors slaughtered, their war beasts reduced to charred husks beneath Sol's burning skies. But humanity was not finished. For centuries, the hegemony had ravaged countless civilizations, believing themselves to be the apex predators of the galaxy. Now they had awakened something far worse. The true war was about to begin. And this time, humanity would be the invaders. The birth of the Terran Imperium. From the ashes of Earth's greatest war, a new order emerged. The old nations were gone. Borders had burned away in the fires of war. What remained was one species, united by rage, forged in blood. They called themselves the Terran Imperium. The first decree of the new Imperium was simple. The hegemony will burn. Earth was transformed into the beating heart of the war machine. Every factory, every research facility, every shipyard was repurposed for one goal: revenge. The shattered wreckage of the hegemony's armada was recycled, its alien alloys reforged into weapons of war. The survivors of the hegemony's failed invasion, those who had begged for mercy, were sent to work in the shipyards, constructing the very fleet that would erase their empires. For every human life lost, the Imperium would take 1,000 in return. The fleet of retribution. Within a year, the largest fleet in human history was assembled, a force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The warships of the Terran Imperium were monuments to destruction. Dreadnoughts armed with planet-cracking rail cannons. Stealth cruisers carrying singularity warheads designed to rip entire moons apart. Assault carriers capable of deploying millions of cybernetically enhanced soldiers into battle. At the center of it all was the Sol Ascendant, the Imperium's flagship, a vessel the size of a small moon, bristling with enough firepower to turn a star system into dust. The first strike. The hegemony had not yet realized the horror that was coming for them. Their homeworlds, deep in the galactic core, were fortified beyond measure. But they had made one fatal mistake. They believed humanity needed time to recover. They were wrong. As the Imperium's fleet left Sol's gravity well, their first target was selected. Vorlich Prime, the seat of the Dominion's empire, a world that had once orchestrated the enslavement of dozens of species. For millennia, it had stood untouched, a jewel of the hegemony. Now, it would be the first to fall. As the fleet surged forward, High General Adrienne Falkenrath gave the final order. No survivors. The Night of Fire had only just begun. The Imperium's fleet tore through the void, a storm of vengeance given form. At its head, the Sol ascended, a fortress of war, a declaration of wrath. A hammer forged in the crucible of Earth's suffering led the charge. Their target, Vorlak Prime. For millennia, it had stood as the heart of the Zorlak Dominion, a jewel in the hegemony's empire, untouched, untouchable. Now, it would be the first to burn. The siege of Vorlak Prime. The hegemony never saw them coming. Humanity's stealth cruisers arrived first, slipping past the hegemony's early warning systems. Their mission was not sabotage, it was genocide. Using newly developed quantum entanglement disruptors, they shut down planetary communications in an instant. The planetary defense grid, the pride of the Dominion, was hacked and turned inward, its cannons firing on its own fleet. By the time the Zorlak military realized what was happening, it was too late. The sky ignited. Terran planet crackers opened fire, their railguns launching tungsten slugs the size of skyscrapers at near-light speed. Vorlak Prime's orbital stations vanished in the first salvo, their debris raining down upon the cities below. Then came the fire. The Ferrum Mantle, the same solar weaponry used to purge Earth, was unleashed at full capacity. The atmosphere itself turned to flame. Cities that had stood for 10,000 years were reduced to glowing craters within minutes. Millions of Zorlaks screamed as oxygen combusted around them, their exoskeletal bodies splitting open in the intense heat. Total extermination. The hegemony attempted to resist. They failed. Every warship that tried to escape was hunted down. Every military facility, every supply line, every last soldier was slaughtered. The Terran Imperium did not seek surrender. They sought extinction. High General Adrienne Falkenrath herself led the ground assault, marching through the burning ruins of Vorlak Prime's capital. The once great leaders of the Zorlak Dominion cowered in their citadel, pleading for negotiations. Falkenrath's response was simple. She set the citadel ablaze and watched them burn. The message to the galaxy. When the fires finally died down, Vorlak Prime was gone. The first homeworld of the hegemony had been erased. But humanity was not done. Before leaving, the Imperium broadcast a single message across the stars. It was a simple transmission, played on every frequency, heard on every world still loyal to the hegemony. The image. A burning planet. The words, "You started this war. We will finish it." The meaning was clear. This was only the beginning. The night of fire would spread, and the hegemony would burn until nothing remained.